Oh, hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hello. Sorry, I was just having a flick through some photos there. You caught me off guard. Look at Nads in a lift in Stockholm. Oh, so many memories. Thanks for the memories. How are we all? How are you all? Hi, Linda Holmes. Good morning. Good afternoon, even. A more sort of civilized hour. I hope you enjoyed the Curly Cooks. Apologies for the obvious issues with the live stream. Well, it wasn't live. The premiere stream. We thought we'd set it to allow members and 2-year subscribers, only because we know there've been some curious, since we've sort of been uber critical of Netanyahu in recent days. Since the arrest warrants have been issued, we seem to have had a real influx across all platforms of trolls and bots and stuff like that. So we were actually doing it to protect you guys. So I accept and admit and acknowledge that you were slightly frustrated, as were we. But I was out, and there was no one who could moderate. So that was our kind of best worst solution, or worst best solution. So anyway, we'll attend to it better next time. Hope you're all okay. Hope you're well. Morning, Faith. Morning, everyone. It was a silly, fun, and nostalgic show. Did you like the commercial breaks? I particularly liked the commercial breaks. I thought they were fun. But yeah, anyway, so but what was I doing? Sitting here flicking through photos. We've got the newspapers, not the snooze papers, and of course, hardly surprisingly, it's the news surrounding a greengrocer or a grocer. What's the difference between, is a grocer someone who sells everything other than meat and fish? Because a fishmonger, butcher, grocer. Does a grocer just sell food, whereas a greengrocer just sells fruit and veg? Is that right? Is that right? I'm looking for the strict linguistic definitions of a greengrocer versus a grocer. Jane C., I can tell you're never going to forgive me, but trust me, we did it for the protection of everyone. I'm sure it's one sacrifice we can all cope with is one show in 5 years worth of 365 days of constant content. I think we can accept that. What's the difference between a greengrocer and a grocer? Is it grocer could even sell hardware once, said Edward Bevington. Greengrocer is fruit and you know what? I miss the good old days of going to the greengrocers with my nan. I used to quite like that. There was something nice about it, and the paper bags and the furling them over and the weighing them out and the sound of the fake grass me tube. What other happy memories do we have of greengrocing? It's the green produce, I guess so, but it's not all green, is it? It's red, and as Nadia and Dina are always telling us in the Curly Cooks, you need a lot of colour in your food, not just green. Purple, orange, red, blue. Is there any blue fruit? I don't think so. Oh, that's a cracking coffee. Morning, April Hill. Brown paper bags. Forget all the little plastic ones. Brown paper bag. Well, okay, so why are we talking about grocers? A friendly grocer. Well, that's not what he's being described today. The front of the Sun, Gregg the Groper, as opposed to the grocer, star accused of 3 sex assaults now. BBC was warned 12 years ago. How many times, guys and girls? How many times have we seen the statement, the BBC was warned? And in fact, I think it's the same production company, Banijay, which then has lots of Endemol and all these other companies within it, that looked after Russell, what's his name? Russell Grant? What's his name? Russell Banks? No. Russell, what's his name? Russell Brand. Russell Brand doesn't sound right. Anyway, so Gregg the Groper, front of the Sun there. If you go inside the pages, he pressed himself onto me from behind, so I moved away. Then he called me a stupid cow. That's a former MasterChef contestant. Pressed into her from behind whilst she was cooking. I reported Wallace's groping to the Bee, says celebrity MasterChef winner Emma Kennedy. Yeah, I think that's the lady that we're talking about. We also have Clemmy Moody, who's a journalist for The Sun. Aggressive and mean. He tried to intimidate me. You know, it's coming through a lot, isn't it? I mean, I was mindful that after our Friday natter, that we weren't giving cloud cover or providing any kind of cloud cover for what was going on here. I think that, we were talking about the possibility that maybe he's in some way unable to avoid saying awful things. I certainly got that sense of him. And as someone who struggles with ADHD and bipolar, there is something which is about sort of, I think it's also baked into an aspect of Tourette's, though not all Tourette's, a sort of a knowledge that you shouldn't say something and then you do say something. But this reaches way beyond that. Victoria Moore says the BBC are finished. Victoria Moore, the BBC will investigate the BBC, says Edward Bevington. Nothing found, carry on. It does feel a bit like that after the whole kind of strictly farcical nonsense. So got Emma Kennedy, lots and lots of people coming through. And then you move on from there. The front of the Daily Star, the Greengrocer. There you go. There was us remembering the lovely heady days of greengrocery. But that's Ulrika blasts MasterChef Gregg over sick rape joke. It's also to coin a phrase that teachers used to use. It's also disappointing. It's not really the BBC's fault. These are all men of a certain generation and era. Me too. I kind of agree and kind of disagree in that complaints were made and nothing was looked into. Though, to be brutally honest, and actually maybe I'm going to sound like I'm agreeing with you now, if this was the indie or the production company that was involved, that were the complaints would have gone to the independent production company rather than to the BBC. So the BBC is absolutely in its rights to pass this back down the food chain and say, what the fuck have you've dropped the ball here, Endemol, Banijay, whatever the name of the company is now. Cloda says the same thing. You're right, Michu, but the BBC were warned about him, so some of the blame lands on them for not doing anything about it. It does look like they've dropped the ball again. Gross Gregg's just a grubby grocer. I think they're really going for the alliteration there, aren't they? I mean, the Daily Star, this is inside. Lots and lots of photos of Gregg Wallace sort of admiring his abs, his biceps, his triceps, and all the rest of it. The gross grocer, gross Gregg. Ulrika, Gregg's rape joke on MasterChef set. Johnson's anchor at distress host caused as other guests slam him. Oh, it's not looking good, is it? And Wallace is also hit by racism claim as allegations start to pile up. Now, loath am I to say, is what we're looking at here, everything he's done and said and all of the kind of things that he's accused of are totally inappropriate in the workplace. But part of me wonders whether we're looking at a story here which doesn't speak to just his bad behavior, but because he's kind of, in a sense, broken through and into the world of celebrity and fame, it's that much worse because we can all see it and we can all call it out. But who else here wonders whether, this behavior that he's being pulled up on is standard practice for so many men and so many male-orientated workplaces? And so many professionals, non-professionals. Do you know what I mean? Whilst we're calling this out and the papers are all rightly shocked, how much of this is just low? This is what the low-level shit is around so many men of a certain generation, a certain era, a certain colour, and all that kind of stuff. Gregg Wallace hit by racism claim there. So that's on Friday. Lots of the papers leading with that. The other big news, of course, the stories I hear from building sites. Okay, we don't want to sort of malign a particular line of work, but and also I think the other thing that might have kicked in for Gregg Wallace is that we're looking at someone who would never necessarily have expected to have, in a sense, broken through the glass ceiling of celebrity. You know how footballers at a very young age, they're yanked from very ordinary, normal lives, and then they're thrust into the spotlight of international fame. And then we all wonder why it goes wrong or why they make mistakes. Could we be looking at a bit of that too here? Again, none of this is to justify. This is all just to explain. So hang on. Oh, that's weird. Why have I got that? Just one second. Right, assisted dying. The assisted dying law bill was passed. Hi, Al Zoran. Hi, dude. Assisted dying set to become legal within 3 years after historic vote. How do you feel about this? How does everyone feel? The votes were 330 said aye, which is yes. 275 said nay, which is no. And 38 were no votes. They're suggesting that means this could come into law by 2027. I'm going to be really honest with you. I was talking to one of my girls this morning because we were at an open day, thus why we're doing this later. And I said, actually, for me, I am extraordinarily pleased about this. I know there are lots of people who think it's the thin end of the wedge. We're gonna talk about some of them. They're all in the Daily Mail, all moaning and groaning and all that kind of stuff, because they can probably all afford really, really expensive private healthcare and private hospices and etc. etc. So, just one second, down the hatch. But when now I know this, I've always lived in fear as an asthmatic. That's come up quite a bit. Logan's Run. That's what my nan was interested in. She loved that film. My nan, who died at the age of 93, always maintained that we should have, is it Logan's Run, where they had I think it is, where they had the sort of wristband and they put in the year, and when you hit that age, you just die. It euthanizes you. That's a bit extreme. I'm just really relieved it's passed, because one of my fears, is just personal, is dying breathlessly. I.e., asthma gets worse, I don't know, degeneration, a lung disease. The idea and prospect and thought of battling and then slowly suffocating, albeit that, yes, medical technology and developments mean that they can sort of, ease the pain and all that kind of stuff. I felt in the passing of this law, and I wonder how many other people have felt this, an easing around the fear of how one dies. And I wasn't even predicting or expecting that I might feel that once the news broke. Did anyone else feel the same? I mean, I get it that there are all sorts of concerns and worries, and we're going to have 2 years now. What people don't seem to understand is they've passed the bill. There's now going to be 2 years of extraordinarily detailed committee work, making sure the wording is right, making sure there are no loopholes, making sure all the clauses are watertight, making sure as much as possible exploitation can't happen. Yes, it needs severe regulation. I agree, Edward Bevington, but I think it's going to get severe regulation. But I think for me, okay, if I do a poll, can I do a poll? Hang on a minute. I've got to, let me just I'll turn the volume off. Let me see if I can do a poll. It's a good idea. So I've just got to go over here. I've got to come out of one search engine and go into another. Bear with me one second. I'm going to do a poll. Hopefully it won't go mad. Let's do it. You have to do this. Come out of StreamYard. So here we go. Let's see if we can do a poll here. See if you can see this poll. Would you choose to use euthanasia when it's legal? Obviously, if you're ill. So there you go. I'll pop that down there. I haven't got any audio coming through. Has that landed? Hopefully that has landed. Can you see that poll? If you're terminal. That's why it's called the terminal illness bill, isn't it? The terminal illness. I think the name of it takes into account the fact that it's not just we can assist you to die. It's if you're terminal. So I felt a strange sense of comfort, because it just kind of removed the prospect of thinking, oh my God, I could die an agonizing death. Is that not a good thing? I mean, it doesn't mean you won't die an agonizing death, because heart attacks can still get you. You can still have accidents, all this kind of stuff. But surely, um, surely one would prefer that. No, some degree of agency over the end of life. Jill Broad, I think it's good it's passed, but I don't know if I would. Well, let's have a look at the rest of the headlines whilst you engage with the poll. MPs back assisted dying, historic vote, says the front of the Mirror. Daily Mail takes a slightly different sort of approach, slightly more, is it a gimlet eye? MPs vote for a leap into the unknown. Do you know what? Dying is like a leap into the big unknown. So maybe this is a case, actually, Daily Mail, of making the unknown a little bit more known, perhaps, possibly. Um, but inside, Sarah Vine says this bill will change who we are as a country from a nation that believes fundamentally in the sanctity of life to one that doesn't. And I say to Sarah Vine, no, it doesn't. I'd, for all of the sort of sanctimonious kind of verbiage and pontificatory sort of supercilious down the barrel of the nose kind of sneeriness, this bill will change it won't change who we are. It will offer some people in extremis the opportunity and the potential to actually claim dignity, not just for themselves, but I think dignity for themselves and for their families. The interesting thing about the debate is, why can we not have both options? Albeit that the option for assisted dying is made very tight, very strict, very rules based. You have all the caveats are in place. Why can't we have both options? Why are there people so anti other people having the choice? It's not going to affect you. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Do you get me? I find that curious. So yes, so the old Daily Mail doing what it does best, turning it into a culture war of sorts. But and of course, to sort of to chime in with this, to kind of back up this kind of slightly jaundiced attitude, the Daily Mail then has a double spread piece about Dr. Death, a disquieting interview. Dr. Death says this is the guy who created the pod. Do you remember the inventor of the pod that was involved in that controversial controversy a couple of weeks ago? Now I want to bring my suicide pod to Britain. The Lake District would be a lovely place to end your life. Well, I've got nothing to say about the pod whatsoever. I don't know how one goes about it. I think it's a big question, and I think it's a question for whoever creates the laws. Can we please boycott the Daily Mail? Well, Lester Gray, I'd say yes, but the vast majority of people think like the Daily Mail, unfortunately, and it's better to kind of lock horns. It's better to know what the enemy is saying so you can call it out, I think. But I think how one does it is a big question. This piece here, syringe, pills, or death pod. How will the policy work in practice? And it's a good question. This is from the Daily Tory graph. I mean, how will it? How will it happen? You know, terminally ill patients will be forced to carry out the act of taking their own life under current legislation. So you would have to be able to have the capability to do it yourself, even if it means that you blink. Say you have no ability to move your body, but you can make the choice. You have agency to make the choice. Um, you can have medical assistance in that instance as long as your decision is one of an unimpeded decision. Um, but yeah, this is the grisly detail. This is the grisly detail, I suppose. To be granted medical assistance with ending your own life, you will need to be aged 18 or older, to have lived in the UK for 12 months or less, be diagnosed with a terminal illness that your doctor says will kill you within 6 months. You must be found to have capacity, which broadly means that a doctor believes you have the ability to make decisions about your own life. I think that's the area in which people could get concerned about coercion, where coercion creeps in. Even if a patient is mostly physically incapacitated, the law would require them to be able to take the final act of ending their lives for themselves. This could involve swallowing medication, pressing a button to start a syringe driver, or even potentially blinking to set off a medical device that administers lethal drugs, not entirely dissimilar to the process involved in on death row, really. The crux of the legislation is that a doctor can assist a patient in taking their own life, but not carry it out themselves. So you can't have a doctor doing it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the details are grisly, but dying isn't pleasant, is it? It's not going to be good. But so surely anything that makes the potentiality of a death better for the person dying, and potentially better for the person who's left, who remembers them. I personally think I don't see what there is not to like, and I think it's one of those rare occasions where you simply trust and hope I don't think there are people clamoring at the door to kill people, are there? Are there? I mean, someone wanted to suggest this is the state having the ability to get rid of us all. ITVX Faith Goodman saying documentary A Time to Die, please watch. So moving on to the lighter news stories. This story is quite remarkable. Students told how to walk downstairs in a health and safety advice. This is, I believe, Cambridge University. They're advising kids how to walk downstairs. Pay attention when using the stairs. Pay attention. Heads up. Phones down. Don't be the next accident. And there on the right is an image of someone. This papers have seized upon this as a whatever next. We're now teaching kids how to walk. But I tell you what, walking around the streets of London, people on their phones. I tend to now, if I see someone walking towards me, they don't look up for like yards. I go, blah, 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 I make stupid noises, and they always go, "What's wrong?" Like, and you're like, "You're walking." Don't understand it. Um, Foreign accent racists. This is interesting. Saying sorry, I can't understand your accent could be described as racist or defined as racist. A tribunal judge warns that comments or criticism may violate dignity in a case brought by a Brazilian person. Commenting or criticizing the way someone from another country or ethnic group speaks might be a breach of employment law, Judge James Taylor said. The circuit judge made the ruling following a case about a university worker who sued when she received criticism over her strong Brazilian accent. I think again, this has to be about no comprende. Edward Berenton, I don't understand. What do you mean? Um, Elaine Carozzi took the University of Hertfordshire to an employment tribunal, claiming she suffered racial discrimination and harassment. Well, this is a tricky one because I can see how racism will happen around accents, and I'm sure people can be racist. Sorry, don't understand. Double Dutch, but if I'm talking to someone and due to strong accent or language I can't understand, I will always put it on myself. I'm so sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I don't think I'd say, "I can't understand your Brazilian sounding accent," or, "I can't understand your strong Indian, uh, voice." Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think if you name the cultural, I can see how it could be. But yeah, foreign accent racists. What do you say? How would you go about it's that awful thing, isn't it, when you're talking to someone, I remember talking to someone in Scotland once, um, and the accent was so strong, and when someone says something, and I think she said something like, "Da, da, 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 da." I went, "Sorry, sorry," and then they said, "Da, da, da," again, and you go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So you go and then they say it again, and you go, "I can't say I didn't hear you a third time. They're gonna think I'm rude, or I'm not making an effort, or they're gonna think I'm making some judgment." So sometimes I think to myself, maybe the best thing I could do is say, I'm just a bit, my hearing's got not what it used to be. Victoria Moore, yeah, you just keep trying to listen and understand or even guess what they're saying. And then sometimes I'll go, yeah, absolutely. And you realise that what they've said is they want to put a knife through your chest. You're like, no, I didn't say yes to that, did I? No more faulty towers. Sounds a bit iffy, says Mark. Does it? Or an accent racist. Hmm. Sorry, I can't understand your accent. Lurpak owner defends giving cows additive to cut methane emissions. Any animal lovers, well, animal lovers, any sort of ardent animal lovers, I didn't realise this was happening. The owner of the butter brand Lurpak has defended giving its cows, or the cows that it gets its milk from for butter, a synthetic additive in the feed to cut methane emissions amid growing calls for a boycott of Lurpak, the brand. Arla Foods has launched the initiation aimed at tackling climate heating. Because cows burping and belching and farting and all that kind of stuff apparently it's something like a third of the kind of greenhouse gases that we create comes from cattle. I mean, it's ludicrous. So lots of companies, lots of businesses are trying to do something about this. But Lurpak's come under a lot of attack. Research suggests supplement that they're giving to the cow can reduce methane emissions by 27%. but questions remain over the impact on animal health and welfare. The firm is working alongside Morrison's, Aldi, and Tesco on a project which will trial the use of food additive Bovaer across 30 British farms. But a number of British shoppers have joined an online backlash calling for a boycott of Arla brands, especially Lurpak. Ellery Jones, I don't buy Lurpak, it's too bloody expensive. I agree. Going back to the accent thing, Caris Hall music, I just kind of know what they're talking about, say yes and make noises. Yeah, but you could have committed to all sorts of things by saying yes. What about animal health too, Creatorholic? All these things they put in these animals, yeah, and then they get through to us, right? Yeah. Well, on to the much lighter stories. Dish of the day. This is Molly. She's not in pain. She's very happy. Molly is 92, and she's the UK's, I don't know if this word, loyalist customer. After visiting a restaurant to eat the same meal every Thursday for 37 years. Loyalist? Absolutely. I mean, my thing with Nad's always, she says, "Why do you want to go back to Nando's? Why do you want to go back to Waggers? Girls, be more." And I'm like, "Why do we want to be more adventurous? We out there, you want to go out and you want to eat things. Hold on just 1 second. Out there, you want to eat things that are reliable and you can depend on. That's why one goes back to these places. Anyway, Molly clearly feels that she knows what she likes and she likes what she knows. The grandmother of 92 is being hailed as Britain's most loyal customer after ordering the same meal in the same restaurant every week for the last 37 years. Good on him. Him? Good on her. She began going to the 14th century Langley Castle, Northumberland, with her late husband, Jock. Oh my God, we should all go there on Thursday and say hello. She might hate that. Christmas comes early as baubles fly off the shelves, which means Nanny Di must be in the shop because she likes to knock baubles off things, doesn't she? I seem to remember. Christmas bauble buyers are out in force earlier than ever. John Lewis's first ever pink tree has already sold out online. Lisa Cherry, a lead buyer at the store, says disco balls and bows are two other products we've seen grow in popularity. Sales of fake trees have risen by 32%. The trade in boxed baubles has risen by 55%. I love a bauble. I love a pair of baubles. I just love baubles. I love them. I just love the shiny, hanging roundiness of them all. Any sort of reality show fans? Meet the Rees-Mogs. Oh. And he obviously thinks it's obviously become something really funny in his house that he slouches on chairs like he did in the House of Commons. Not the fact that it made him look like a slovenly posh bastard. So now he's turned it into part of his shtick. Different kind of reality show. Jacob Rees-Mogg and wife Helena in the Discovery Plus show. Meet the Rees-Moggs. Are you going to be watching it? No thanks, says Alzaran. No, neither am I. How festive family days out could set you back nearly £500. Now, is it me or is it the 1st of December tomorrow? Does that mean the first... What? Vlogmas? Vlogmas? What? The little jumping, bouncing gingerbread men? Don't forget, Vlogmas is a whole monthly affair, so the loft doesn't open on the first day. It never has. Anyway, festive family days could set you back nearly £500, and then the Mail does a breakdown. Look, London, you do the Christmas lights trail at Christmas Queue, Father Christmas at Hamleys, Panto, Dick Whittington. That is, 148 quid if you're sitting in the very, very top of the place. And the Snowman at the Peacock is not from 140 for a family of 4. I'm telling you that right now. So you could double that total there, but the cost of things is stupid. Winter Wonderland is the biggest con in London. Do not go there. However much your children, I tell you what, get anything. Get something that has a light on the end of it that when you throw it in the air, it goes and then it lands. Because that's more fun than going to Winter Wonderland. It's a source of total disappointment, and they hold parents to ransom. Sorry, I've just gone on one. But it just shows that we only really do 2 things, and usually one of them is a Christmas market, says Caris Hall Music, which is always free to enter. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there are lots of things you can do where you just, it's about soaking up the atmosphere, isn't it, Caris? You're absolutely right. We need Mark Snow Village. I'm in a fight to the death already. I'm telling you that now without giving away too much. The most chunderful time of the year. This is the sun. We lose 24 hours over the Christmas period to hangovers. We will suffer an average of 3 hangovers over the Christmas period. Good God, 3? That doesn't seem like a lot, does it? Each lasting about 8 hours. When I used to drink, I lost weeks. I lost Christmas one year. It was awful. That's the equivalent of missing out on a full 24-hour day. 50% of drinkers reckon the repercussions get worse with age, with 46% telling pollsters that sore heads and dodgy tummies last longer than 5 years ago. It's because we're getting older. As a result, 71% said they had tried supposed cures, but 30% had not found any worked. Careful what you drink and careful how much you drink of it. Winter rip-off land, Concrete Jungle. That is Winter Wonderland. Do not go there. It's not a coincidence that it sits right next to the most expensive real estate in London, Park Lane. It's an outrage. Do not go there. I urge you. Sorry, it's enough, isn't it? What have we got here? 8 Modern. I like this. Bit of puntastic. 8 Modern, not Tate Modern. 8 Modern. It's Vincent van Scoff. And if you're listening on podcast, you're thinking, what the fuck's he talking about? This is the crypto, to quote the Sun, Crypto Wally eats his £5 million. Is he a Wally for eating it or is he a Wally for buying it? He ate an artwork that he bought for nearly £5 million. But this is the artwork, which is a banana gaffer taped to a wall. Now, what you have to understand about this artwork, obviously it's not the same banana that was originally gaffer taped to the wall. It's replaced every, I think, 2 days or 28 days. Anyway, he ate it. I don't know if that means now it's gone. I don't know whether they have to kind of... Does the artwork exist only if the banana rots and then you replace it? If you intercept the banana and eat it, have you eaten the artwork? I don't know. In one. God, I was going to do that and then my throat gave in. 36,000 want to get a bit of bully. Race for spot on Reboot. This is 6 places for contestants on Bullseye. In one. And apparently they're going to be giving away the boats, the speed boats. They're going to be giving away caravans. When I see a caravan, I just think of swinging. I don't know why. Call to legalise euphoric drink supped by a king. I kid you not. A banned narcotic is, it seems, fit for the king on a visit to Samoa. Charles tried Carver. Does anyone else know what Carver is? Which could have landed him in trouble with the law back home. His decision has been seized upon by campaigners, extolling the health benefits of Carver. Not Carver as in the fizzy drink. Carver is it's not a Spanish sparkling wine. It's from the South Sea Islands. It's made from the roots of a tall shrub called Carver, part of the pepper family. Drinking it can cause sedation, feelings of euphoria, and people say that it produces a state of calmness, relaxation, and well-being without diminishing cognitive performance. That's what happens when Nadia twerks. It's fantastic. The Rees-Mogs will be a bit disappointed with this headline. Parents say bye-bye to double-barreled names. Tarquin Fosterton Forster is no more. Jemima Duckington Forceps. No more. Once a hyper-modern declaration of your child's uniqueness, the craze for double-barreled first names appears to be on its way out. British parents are no longer relying on a hyphen or on a hyphen. Oh, this is for first names. Amelia Rose, Kiki B, or Lily May. But what about double-barrel surnames? Oh, the Farsington Arklesons. Why aren't there triple-barrel names? Let's start triple-barrel. Edward Bevington Moore Clifton. That's a menage a trois. Which brings Duckington Forceps. It's a good one, isn't it? I once knew the Duckington Forceps. They were always dipping out of shot and going in for the plunge. Next story. The origins of kissing. Did it really develop from ancient primate grooming behaviour? We'll never know. One fact that I did get from this piece in The Guardian is this. Bonobos, which are primates, in case you're wondering, they're particularly amorous animals. Did you know that? And apparently they are known, bonobos are known to, and I quote directly, passionately tongue each other. So this is an exploration of why do we kiss? What was it about? The earliest record of kissing dates back 4,500 years. If you think about it, it's something we accept. But why? Why? Why do we kiss? Millennia later, the exact origins of kissing are still a matter of debate. A new theory proposes that snogging arose from primates grooming deep in our evolutionary past. So we were licking the lips of our mates. So it would be like going in for the kiss, but you're not going in for the kiss. You're going in going, oh, you've got a bit of food. Oh God, you've got a bit of food around your mouth. Let me get that for. Let me get that for you. Sigmund Freud had pretty much the same theory for everything, didn't he? Let's be blunt. Freud, who was famously hung up on childhood complexes, took the view that kissing, classic Freud, had something to do with the memory of the pleasures of sucking on your mum's breasts. This is enough to put us all off kissing, isn't it? Robin Dunbar, though, who's written a book called The Science of Love, says if Freud was right, the argument doesn't really hold water, because if Freud was right, after all, it really is a reversion to breast sucking. Why not just suck breasts? If you liked someone, why would you kiss them in a sort of primal flashback to breast sucking, rather than just suck their breasts? That's what he's saying. That's what they're saying. Other hypothesize the osculation, which is the act of kissing. Thank God we don't call it osculation. I'm going to say to Nads tomorrow, do you fancy a good osculate? Do you fancy a bit of osculating? A bit of kissing. The act of kissing may have developed from pre-mastication or kiss feeding. Oh, the act of pre-chewing food and pushing it into an infant's mouth with the tongue. I don't like the fact that all of these things pivot around being a child. For the evolutionary psychologist professor at the University of Warwick, pre-mastication doesn't go far enough to explain the particular form kissing takes. This professor speculates that kissing may be a remnant final step of a fur grooming ritual. This is getting more and more repulsive by the second. You see grooming happening most frequently between family and friends in great apes. When the groomer finds a parasite or debris, the groomer will hold the fur, approach its lips protruded, and do a slight suction movement. Is that why some women like beards? By this extension, men with beards who have food in it, and women come in to clean, and basically their partner comes in to hoover their moustache. Hoovering dirty moustaches is where kissing comes from. Oh, suddenly I don't want to kiss. Not even Nads. Wicked or Wonderful, Cynthia Erivo backs cinema sing-alongs. She says, it doesn't matter if no one can. I tell you what, it fucking does. Don't be singing near me. I don't care. Our review is coming soon, I promise you. Concrete Jungle, I was going to say, for removing ticks and fleas. Sounds like it wasn't far off. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Cynthia, please don't sing unless it's a sing-along. If it's a sing-along, that's fine. Boozy Christmas parties are being replaced by crazy golf and scavenger hunts. I've got an idea here. Let's have boozy Christmas parties in which you play crazy golf and go on scavenger hunts, and then it would be double the fun with 25 times the possible consequences. I mean, I've just got this funny feeling that people don't get into trouble anymore at Christmas parties. We need more trouble. This is from telling your boss what to do. Now, the annual booze-filled debauchery appears to be falling out of favours as companies respond to changing cultural mores. I hate that word. It's so wanky, isn't it? Cultural mores. It's kind of word Tarquin Festerton Fingleton would use whilst having a chat with I don't know, with Jennifer Rockington Flakenstick and Schnecken. Next one should have been a puntastic one, but it doesn't really work as a pun, and the Daily Star will be frustrated about this because it says this. Merry Christmas. Doesn't work, does it? Christmas. We splash the cash on gifts for ourselves. We've all done it. Admit it. Put your hand up if you have. You're shopping online or you're shopping in a shop. You come across something, you think, I really want this. And then you think, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll let someone know to buy it. And then you pause and you go, no, I'm going to buy it. And correct me if I'm wrong. You buy it because you think, I've got it. And now they've got to get me something else. Bum photocopying at the office party. Love it. A bit of bum. Oh, I remember having my face laid flat whilst someone's bum sat on my face and the photocopying machine did the light thing. And I remember losing myself in the light. A little bit like Lose Yourself to Dance. I think that's a Daft Punk song, isn't it? Hamster with a killer bite. Oh my God. Animal lover suffers horror reaction. An animal lover was almost killed by his pet hamster. I didn't want to show you the hamster because I didn't want to shame it. It's bad enough for it, knowing that it did this. Nathan Halliday went into a deadly anaphylactic shock after Mochi, his Syrian hamster, had a seizure and chomped down on his hand. Minutes after the bite from the poorly pet, Nathan was unable to breathe as his whole body became swollen. He's fine. He's fine now. And apparently his pet, Mochi, has said sorry. He said sorry. There is a mugshot of Mochi, but I'm not going to show you that. Stuff you, Joe, Trump, YMCA turkey video. After this live, go online and search Donald Trump jumps out of a turkey meme. I'm going to post it on my stories on Instagram because here I think the YMCA track will play havoc with everything. Dancing Don bursts from bird in clip. It's bizarre. Well, it's not real, obviously, and it's not actually very well done. And what's more worrying than all of it is that Donald Trump has reposted it as if it's a good thing. Fry up is the best cure for a hangover cure. Was the best hangover cure. A grease-packed full English bread. This is true. I didn't have a hangover recently because I haven't had a drink for 20 years. But when I felt like I had a hangover the other day and I had a greasy breakfast, it was like wondrous. Oh, black pudding and it's just so bad for you. It's got to be good. I think the badness of a fry-up offsets the badness of all the alcohol. And this is a very touching image here. Thanksgiving, obviously, this past week in America. Hollywood star Bruce Willis enjoys a tender moment with two of his daughters as they spend Thanksgiving together. Obviously, he's been diagnosed with progressive frontotemporal dementia. And this is a particularly just incredibly heartwarming and lovely image. And you may have seen this week that the oldest man in the world died. And this is a curious fact, when I read the story, I thought, well, presumably almost every day the oldest man on the planet dies because there's always someone very old and very infirm rapidly behind the one who's just died. But this is now the new oldest man in the world. Old boy from Brazil. He's 112. He's been around and around and around, hasn't he? I bet he's seen a thing or two. He's a former pig farmer and he's now been named the world's oldest man following the death of John Tinniswood earlier this week. And Jane, your nan is a legend. I haven't quite seen the full chat, but I'm with everyone else. 112. How does he do it? Yeah, probably drinks that drink that the king drinks. Bet he's tired. I bet he is. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. It was lovely to catch up with you again later today. A cozy time is happening in the members area later with Nads at about 8 p.m. Or at 8 p.m. You've got a live No Name Sunday show tomorrow. You've got first Vlogmas landing tomorrow. There's all sorts of stuff happening. And vlogs and all sorts of other content are going to keep landing as they come. There's another Home Time, another Green Fingered Hell. We're just going to keep you so stimulated you're going to need to strap yourself to a chair. So there you go. Anyway, guys, lots of love. Bye.